Hey folks, welcome back to the Lone Pine Tarot, or of course, welcome to the channel if you're new here. For today's pick a card reading, we have a topic I always love to delve into, which of course, as you can tell by the title down below, that is a past life reading. So today's past life reading is a little bit unique because not only are we going to delve into a prior incarnation that, of course that's always interesting to learn about, but we're also going to delve into why is it being brought up right now? What message from your spirit team do they want to send you related to something that went on in that past life? And hopefully, this is my aim or my intention, that message from this past life will help you with something you're going through right now. So kind of a then and a now connection type reading, okay? So without further ado, let us pick our cards or our pile leaders to choose our piles with. So we'll shuffle that as I speak. There we go. Okay, so we need 1, 2, 3. There we go. I'm feeling this one for pile number 1, that for pile number 2, and I feel like this one right here for pile number 3. And then let's unveil the piles together. So, pile number 1s, you received number 23, Boredom. Very interesting card to get. Number 23, Boredom. That's for pile number 1s. For pile number 2s now. Sorry, just making sure that was even. We have number 8, Solitude. Gorgeous card. Of course, they're all gorgeous, this whole deck is, but... And then last but not least, for our wonderful pile number 3s, we have, upside down, number 46, Overthinking. Overthinking. So just to reiterate, pile 1s have Boredom, pile 2s have Solitude, and pile 3s have Overthinking. Of course, you are always welcome to pause on this part of the video if you need more time to decide what card you would like read for you today, or what pile I should say. But either way, whatever your method with your choosing, you can drop down to the description box below and or the top pinned comment beneath the video. Click on the timestamp there for your pile, and I will see you in our discussion about a past life revelation, a message from then to now. See you there. Hello there, my awesome pile number 1s. Welcome to your pick a card reading today on the topic of a past life message from then relevant to now. As you recall, the pile leader you chose was number 23, Boredom, which is actually a pretty interesting card to get for a past life reading. So we'll see how that message blossoms with the keyword of boredom with all the other cards that pop out. But first, we're just set our pile leader over here to the left next to the pine cone, as is our tradition. And we'll draw your oracle cards right now on screen. Okay. So, past life lessons and messages and how they're relevant to you right now. See what your spirit team has to say. Okay, there's number 1. Then we have the Citadel Oracle. Deck number 2. Okay, well for sure that one really is sticking out, so we'll draw that one, pile 1s. Then we have, from the Archetypes deck, this one is a little bit harder to shuffle, so I apologize if this is a messy shuffle. There we go, not too bad, huh? It's that glossy stock that makes the cards kind of stick, Okay. Well, for sure there's one that's really standing out, so we'll draw that one for you, pile number 1s. Okay, and then let's unveil what your oracle cards say first, and of course we'll also draw tarot cards later, as is the tradition. So first up, from the Archetypes deck, you received Judge, light attributes, balancing justice and compassion, managing the fair distribution of power, Shadow attributes, offering only destructive criticism, misusing business, legal, or criminal authority. Okay, so there's some element of either legality or the law with this past life. Very interesting. We'll see what else pops out, of course, before I expand too much on that message, but because sometimes that can mean there were issues on the side of the law being against you in this particular life. It could also meant that you were on the side of the law in this particular life. So we'll see your Citadel Oracle. We have the botanist with the element of earth. Parenthood, legacy. Very interesting. Now, I'm not sure if these are peonies, but they look very, very similar, at least to the ones in my backyard. And peonies, to my understanding, were originally from China. Pile number 1s. Actually, I'm going to set that up here. And so it's possible, because that really drew my eye intuitively, pile number 1s, that this life took place in China or like a similar Eastern Asian country here on Earth. Actually, we'll set those like right here. Perfect. Yeah. Of course, we'll see what else pops out before I say for sure. But then we have number 39, perspective. A calm and clear mind is free to see differently. Very interesting. Because, I was just talking about pile number 1s, how you seem to either have had a life where it was like you were on one side of the law or the other, right? It could have been that the lesson related in, or at least explored in this particular incarnation, was about seeing it from both sides. Like, intuitively, I feel like this particular life of yours, you were on one side of the law for like half of it, and then you were on the other side for like the other half, or there was some sort of pivotal turning point where like you ever hear stories in life, like right now, where sometimes people who become cops actually like had grown up living like, they had maybe stolen some things, or they had partaken in some crimes, and then like they turned over a new leaf and then they became one later, right? Or sometimes it's the opposite story, where they see the corruption in the side of the law or like the government, and then people kind of turn away from that, and then, of course, think of any type of history lesson you've ever heard about people who start a revolution, right? Usually it's because their government is doing bad things. And so that's the way I feel like this particular life kind of turned for you. It was either you were on the side of, sometimes it can be like quote unquote crime, because of course revolution is more, it's not really a crime. It's, of course, people crying out for change in a society that's not serving them, right? And then switching over to the other side, or vice versa, pile number 1s. And I say that too, especially because of the card of perspective here, because perspective is like seeing things differently. Like, sometimes when you're up and close to something, it's easy to see this like fine details and the patterns of things, but then when you're farther away, sometimes it's better or easier to see like the overall picture, like the bird's eye view. And it's interesting because I think in this particular life too, this was related to like a difference in opinion in your family, especially because of the botanist here with parenthood and legacy. It's like your parents in this particular life went one way, and then you went like the complete opposite way. So that might be another way in that dichotomy of perspectives took place, in that your parents were either like on the side of the law and you weren't, or vice versa. They weren't and you were on the side of the law, or, like government versus the people, depending on how that kind of manifested for you in this particular lifetime, pile number 1s. And it's like the whole point of this life, or at least this particular lesson in that life, was understanding how the truth is not always black and white, and understanding how the truth looks like really shades of gray from all different perspectives, pile number 1. So it could be that right now in your life you're dealing with some sort of matter where there are like opposing opinions at hand, and maybe you're not even sure like which opinion to quote unquote side with, or maybe it's like, I see both sides and I completely understand like where both sides are coming from. Or it could be that right now in this particular life, pile number 1s, you're going through one of those pivotal turning points of, I used to be this way and now I'm going to do the complete opposite. Okay. And maybe that's why this particular life from the past is being spoken to you about from your spirit team, okay? And it's interesting too, because the card that you picked, or you were drawn to for your pile leader, you have number 23, Boredom, okay? And boredom is It could be that maybe, like, there's something that you've been doing in your life so far that's been very kind of boring or pointless to you. And, like, a lot of you, I feel it could be even, like, a career change. You're like, oh, God, this career has gotten so boring. You know, maybe it's something that even, like, your parents did, bringing in the parenthood and legacy card here. I wouldn't be surprised if you get the Ten of Pentacles later, but, of course, we'll talk about that when we draw your tarot cards. But, and it's like you want to go a completely different way. Like, you're like, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be a complete maverick and a complete, you know, kind of rogue in my family, and I want to try something new. But then it's like at the same time you can see it from different perspectives. That kind of, you know, that kind of journey is what I'm seeing you being on pile number 1. So, okay. And that's why this particular life is the type of message being reached out to you with from your spirit team, because I feel like you went through a very similar type of thing in that previous incarnation that will help you now, should you heed advice from that particular lifetime. So actually, let's draw your tarot cards right now, because I haven't even gotten to your tarot cards yet, pile number 1s, but yeah, just a lot of intuitive stuff coming out here. Okay, spirit team for pile 1s, could you give us around 5 tarot cards that explains more about, like, what's the message from this lifetime that is pertinent to what pile number 1 is going through right now? Like, what's the advice here? Oh boy, okay. Oof, I almost fell off my table. Just 1 second. I'm literally holding the cards against the table with my chest off screen. There we go. Okay. So we had the 8 of Pentacles, and it kind of came out sideways. So I'm going to kind of read that as both ways here, though I will technically put it upright. And then we also had Temperance and the World, so 2 major arcana. Very interesting. Both also upright. And it's interesting because we also have Temperance is the card of moderation and balance. Not only do you already have the balance scales and the judge card here, which, you know, of course, are like the balance scales of justice, or like we see that with Libra, right? We were talking about 2 different sides to things, moderation and balance, and seeing things in gray rather than black and white and from different perspectives. Very interesting pile number 1s. Lots of shared symbolism here. Synchronicity probably is the better word. And then we have, the 6 of Pentacles, pile number 1s, is all about fairness, okay, and charity, especially when it comes to finance, okay. Once again, it's one of the, basically the 2 balance cards in tarot. Of course, justice is number 1, because we think of justice being related to balance, but the 6 of Pentacles is the second balance card. So there's really a theme of 2 different sides and 2 different options, or choosing the middle path between 2 extremes here. And then your last card is the Ace of Pentacles. Okay, so something about with an opportunity. Let me read this for you here, pile number 1s. Apologies for a moment of silence. Lots of earth, too, in this reading. Not only do you have earth as the element from the botanist, but you have a lot of pentacles, which is the earth suit of tarot. That makes me think that this is more of a worldly, like, material-related matter, and or it could be possible that you are an earth sign right now, or you were an earth sign in this past life, pile number 1s. I want to say, yeah, for a lot of you, this is related to career or whatever you do in your day-to-day life. Very, like, earthly, you know, things that you do with your hands or your job, that type of thing, where you've really been hard at work on something. But with this particular incarnation of the 8 of Pentacles, especially because it did come out sideways initially, remember? And so I said, oh, I'll kind of read it both as upright and reversed. This particular incarnation of the card is someone who is working really hard at creating these pentacles, but you can see her hands and her feet are getting all kind of bloody and hurt from what she's doing, and she even has tears in her eyes. So it's, the 8 of Pentacles is a card of hard work, especially with career. You know, it's, I see it as, I call it the blacksmith card, because it's like a blacksmith hammering away and forging something repeatedly, right? Striking the iron when it's hot. But this incarnation is like, it's been a long road for you, pile number 1s, okay? Whatever it is with this career thing you've been working on, it's been painful to the point of where it's almost hurting yourself working on it. And I think that's maybe why you're struggling with staying where you are with this, because, I mean, yeah, there's an element of boredom perhaps with your first card, the one that you, your pile leader, but at the same time, it's like, it's not just boredom, it's also, oh God, this is painful to a point with that particular Eight of Pentacles. And so you've been looking for balance. You've been looking for maybe an end to this. That's hence why the World is the central card of your tarot reading today, pile number 1, because the World is about the curtain close of something. It's the end of the major arcana in tarot. It's the end of a phase or a chapter in your life, okay? And I think what they're telling me is that you're seeking a place of better fairness, okay? A place where there is more, like it says here, compassionate judgment, not just focusing on black and white, but seeing things in gray. And especially too with Judge here, it says like fair distribution of power. Perhaps where you are right now, that Six of Pentacles reverse is indicating there's a lack of fairness. You know, maybe you're not getting paid fairly. Maybe people aren't listening to you at this particular job or this particular place, right? And so you're looking for a new opportunity here with the Ace of Pentacles at the end. That's a new opportunity in the material world. I would read that as probably looking for a new job or looking for maybe a promotion into like a different department where it's not quite as bad, you're not as bored, or it's not as painful, right? And I think, you know, because of the perspective card, what this past life is trying to tell you, or at least your spirit team is trying to tell you through the lesson of this past life, pile number 1s, is to give you a perspective that will help you make the decisions you need to make on this journey away from the pain and the monotony and the boredom, okay? I feel like I should draw 3 extra cards for that. That's kind of what I'm hearing right now. So I'm going to shuffle the cards here, pile number 1s. Because I want to know, what advice do they have for you? But two, I also want to ask more about like what happened in this past life that's really relevant to now. So actually, let's explore that right now. What happened in this past life that's relevant to now? Like if there's a specific event that occurred. So thank you, Spirit Team. 3 cards on that. Oopsie. The whole deck was like flipping over. I can't take the whole deck, unfortunately. We'd be here all day, but that would make for a very fascinating tarot reading, though. What happened in this past life? Ace of Swords reversed. Lack of ideas. Confusion. Okay. Queen of Wands reversed. Okay. Maybe a lack of confidence in things. And Tower. Okay. So pile number 1s, what they're saying is this past life that we talked about being on either side of the law, or like having switched that entire life from one perspective to another, and potentially it took place in an East Asian country, I think China for most of you, but as a general, everyone's going to be a bit different. There was some event in that life where, and this is the part that's relevant to now in your current life, where you avoided disaster with the Tower reversed. But it was a choice that sacrificed your confidence, and it sacrificed ideas that you had. I almost wonder if in that past life you made the decision to stay in a place where you were not happy, and you didn't change your external circumstances, even though your internal perspective had changed, because you were so afraid of taking a risk. You were so afraid of the Tower falling of your life. You know, pile number 1s, I almost want to kind of retract what I was saying earlier. I think in this past life, you didn't even necessarily change to the other side, even though you might have wanted to. I feel like you stayed in your safety, in your comfort zone, but you always regretted it. And that's kind of what these 3 particular cards are telling me, is it's like this past life, this lesson is urging you, don't be afraid to take the risk now, pile number 1s. You're always going to regret it if you don't, like we did in this past life, okay? Because here's the thing. The message here is about when your external circumstances don't match your internal values, that is always a recipe for unhappiness. And that was the recipe for unhappiness that happened in this past life, pile number 1s, okay? 2, sometimes I read the Ace of Swords as, and I believe this is actually from, is this from Roman history? There was some culture in ancient times, probably Roman, but correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, where judgment was passed with the brandishing of a sword. So if something was good, the sword would be upwards, and if something was bad, the sword would be downwards. I think it's Roman, but don't quote me on that. And it feels like with the Ace of Swords reversed, it's like something happened in this past life where bad judgment was passed upon you. And it's like you lost everything anyways. So had you taken the risk, not only would it have been a life path that would have been more relevant to your internal values at that time, it also would have led to a better path in the end anyways, even though technically it looked like the more scary choice on the surface. So I am going to ask for 3 more cards on advice for you specifically from this past life pile number 1s, but I'm already telling you, I think it's already encouraging you right now, if you're at a crossroads of a dilemma regarding making a major life choice, I think they're encouraging you to go towards making the choice and taking the risk, okay, because of the prevalence of cards talking about unhappiness in this area of having not taken a choice like that in this past life, okay? So yeah, let's draw those 3 final cards here, but this is a fascinating past life pile number 1s. It's kind of sad, though, because it's like, I mean, you know, you never really know the future pile number 1s. And so in this past life, it was like you couldn't have seen it coming that, you know, like which path was the right one to take, but it's like you compromised your values, and that ended up being the bad choice anyways, even though it felt safer technically. Yeah, Spirit team for pile 1s, could you give me 3 cards of, like, parting advice from this past life as to encouragement for what decision they should make now? Thank you. Okay, there's 1. And pile number 1s, I always say this in my readings, you never have to take a tarot reading as set in stone, and you never have to take the advice from a tarot reading as you have to do a certain thing. You can always, you know, reject or accept advice from a tarot reading. But this is basically the way at least I read tarot. This is what they're advising you based on the path you're on right now, currently at the time you're watching this. Okay. I just want you to be aware that that's my style of reading, especially because this is like, it seems like it's a major life choice type reading. Okay. And of course, those always want to be made carefully. But yeah. I would say, you know, if you're really at the point of, like, you could just flip a coin, I'm pretty sure they're encouraging you to go in the direction of taking the risk to leave the place of boredom or the place of injustice, okay? So the first card we have is the Sun, advice, follow your happiness, follow truth. Okay, and then we have the Queen of Pentacles reversed. That's about internal security. And then we have the Page of Pentacles reversed. Interesting pile number 1s. So advice from this past life, okay? When you're debating on this life change decision pile number 1s, they want you to keep in mind these 3 things. A, the Sun is all about, well, happiness, number 1, but number 2, it's also about truth, because it's the embodiment of light in the tarot deck, you know, because, I mean, literally the sun is light, right? That's literally what lights up our days, you know, every single morning, you know, at dawn. And so they're encouraging you to follow the path or make the choice towards truth, towards what makes you happy, okay? If you were to close your eyes right now and ask yourself, what path is most truthful to what I feel inside, okay? That answer is at least the first guidepost that giving you directions on where you need to go, okay? Number 2, we have the Queen of Pentacles reversed. Think about what makes you feel insecure, especially when it comes to finances, okay? They're probably, with this card, acknowledging that maybe the risky choice is risky to you because you fear a financial lashback or like a financial con, okay? In terms of, you know, like pros versus cons. And, you know, it's interesting though, because next to the Page of Pentacles reversed, it's like, I'm sorry, 1 second. I'm going to be silent for a second. I'm going to ask for a message here. They keep saying true wealth is not in what is in your hand, but true wealth is in what is easiest to get up to every day. Like pile number ones, have you ever had a job, or maybe this is currently the job you're in that they're talking about, where you wake up and every single day you dread going into work? And it's maybe either the people there, or it could be literally like the type of work itself. I get the feeling that that might be the case for you right now. And so they're saying the greater wealth is in, I'll rephrase it, the greater wealth is in something that makes you curious and something that makes you eager to get up in the morning. Okay. Rather than in the material wealth of the coin in your hand. Okay. So, if, like I said, you're debating on staying at a place that's not the greatest, but because of money, versus taking a risk, but it's a financial risk as well, like I said, you can always accept or reject advice from a tarot reading, but currently what I'm seeing is A, follow your truth, follow what makes you happy, and B, follow what makes you excited and curious to get out of bed in the morning to do that particular thing. Okay. Especially too, because this particular page of coins is, and I just realized this, literally is a card of spring, but also dawn. Like you can see the sun rising behind her, back past the mountain valley. What makes you excited to get up in the morning, pile number ones? Okay. Because in that past life, you chose the other option, and you always regretted it. And that's why that past life came forward right now to tell you, pile number ones. Follow your light, follow your truth, follow your dawn, what makes you happy to get up in the morning. Because there was a lot of suffering in that past life to have made the choice to stay rather than follow your heart. Okay? And that's why that past life came forward for you today. So yes, of course, as always, I recommend, meditating it on a bit. Maybe even connecting with your spirit guides a little bit, more one-on-one than rather like, of course, I love it when you come to my tarot readings, but intuitively they're telling me it's like, it'd be a good option for you if you haven't already to meditate and try to connect to your spirit guides on this matter. 2, there's something to do with the symbolism of sunlight or the sun or the rising sun or dawn. Okay, so like for example, if it is a career change here, pile number ones, and you're like, well, what company could I possibly go to? There's something to do with maybe there's like a sun in the logo or the name of the company, or maybe it's starting your own business, and that's literally like the idea you had was something with that kind of symbology in the logo design or the name of it. Or it could be something to do with the symbolism of something happening at morning. Okay. It's very interesting, too. I'm sorry, I just realized this. In your perspective card, there's a lighthouse over here, literally in the corner. I'm sorry if you can't see that on camera. So once again, light is another symbolism popping out here. That's very interesting. So if I had to summarize your advice in one sentence, pile number ones, from this past life is to always follow your truth. Always follow the light of the truth that's in your heart. Follow what your heart says rather than, your heart fears, okay, is what they're telling you. So that's what I will leave your reading at today, pile number ones. As always, I hope that reading was helpful for you. I hope it resonated. If it did, please like, comment, or subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. That just helps me out, which helps me provide more readings for both you and others in the future. And as is our custom, our tradition on the channel, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day. I wish you, lots of success on your adventure and following your truth and your light and what makes you excited to get out of bed in the morning, pile number ones. And I hope to see you in the next reading. Bye. Hello there, my awesome pile number twos. Welcome to your pick a card reading today on the topic of a past life message from then relevant to now. As you recall, the pile leader you chose was number 8, Solitude. And like I said in the intro, a very gorgeous card. So as is our custom, we'll set our pile leader over here next to the pine cone to the left. And we're going to draw our oracle cards right now on screen. Okay, so first up from the Lantern Oracle, let's delve more into this past life of yours. I always love doing past life readings. It's probably at least one of my top 3 favorite type of readings, pile number twos. Okay. Okay, I believe that is... Oh boy, is that 3 of them? Well, you got 3 Citadel cards. Okay. I will take them because I don't believe in coincidences. And then from our Oracle of Archetypes here. Apologies, this deck is always a bit hard for me to shuffle because it is huge. Okay. Oh, right, come on. There we go. Glossy cardstock tends to kind of stick. There we go. Let's see what archetype comes out here. There we go. And now the best fun part, unveiling your cards. And of course we'll reveal your, and draw them, the tarot cards later. So first up though, from the Archetypes deck, you received Child Eternal, Light Attributes. Determination to remain young in body, mind, and spirit. Ability to see things with fresh eyes. Shadow Attributes. Inability to grow up and be responsible. Extreme dependency on others for physical security. Okay. Almost kind of reminds me of Peter Pan, right? Because Peter Pan was never able to grow up, but then he also had like an eternal youth. Interesting card. Let's put that one up here. Because we're going to need room for those Citadel Oracles that just popped out. So of course you already kind of saw them, but first is the King with the element of fire, control and reversal of fortune. Interesting. There's oak acorns here up at the top. The second Citadel was the Astronomer with the element of air, discovery and augury. I want to say this was a Renaissance era life pile number 2s. Right in the age of discovery, because not only did you get the Astronomer and it talks about discovery, but we also have Cartographer here as your third card. Also an air element, a crossroads and exploration. Interesting. You know, you might have been like a navigator, because back then, pile number 2s, before obviously we had, you know, well, like GPS and satellites, right? People would navigate using the stars. Okay, they've used that. I know like the Polynesians did that, and pretty much all seafaring cultures did. Typically using Polaris as the North Star to mark and guide their way, but... It's very interesting, though, because you also have king. And, of course, you know, you think of, like, nobility. So it is possible that you also were of nobility in this life pile number 2s. I'm not saying a specific country or culture yet. That might pop up more in your tarot cards, but I will try to maybe glean a geographical location with the other cards. But let's reveal the other one. We have, okay, number 14, Wishful Expectations. And I'll read. It says, acknowledge the smoke and mirrors in your life for what they are. So, you know, I think in this life pile number 2s, there's some sort of message about you having always tried to keep up your hopes and your spirit. I almost see like, especially because of Child Eternal, like a childlike quality to you in this particular incarnation. And it's like you always hope for the best and you always took risks in... maybe even when it came to, if it was like an exploratory type life of, you know, seafaring and finding new lands or being literally like a cartographer, maybe you even made maps, right? Like that takes optimism, that takes having hope and faith that things will work out, because especially back then, like I said, you know, with just wooden boats and not even any GPS, I mean, that must have been kind of a scary undertaking, right? Pile number 2s. And I think, unfortunately, in this life that we're talking about, especially with Wishful Expectations, and literally, she's over, it looks like she's even over, like, an ocean here, which is interesting, because we were talking about seafaring, right? Oh, sorry, my pencil off screen kind of got knocked up. Yeah. Literally over an ocean. Tied to the wheel of wishful expectations. I almost wonder, like, if you wandered to some place you weren't supposed to go and you suffered for it, or you, like, overly trusted something and you paid for it. That's kind of what I'm feeling off of this particular life pile, number 2s. Especially when it says, like, acknowledge the smoke and mirrors for what they really are. You know, I wonder if you made, like, a navigational mistake is what I'm hearing. Yeah, it was like you made a navigational mistake and you got shipwrecked for it, or like the voyage or the journey turned out bad because of it. Pile number 2 is, do you have a fear of like airplane travel or like water or ocean or like ships? Or I know some have a fear, like thalassophobia is a fear of, I think, the ocean. And then there's like submechanophobia. Actually, I have submechanophobia myself, literally afraid of man-made objects in water. If you do have a phobia of water-related things or like journey travel-related things, that actually might be a part of this past life. Perhaps you're always kind of wondering like where that came from. It's my personal belief, pile number 2, is that a lot of our phobias actually do come from past life experiences. And this is definitely one where it feels like, yeah, something went down in the water or on a journey, and it kind of marked your soul for a while. And it's interesting, too, because I mentioned Peter Pan before, and the whole little rhyme that went along with How to Find Neverland, where Peter Pan was in the original story, right, was, how does it go? Second star from the right and straight on till morning. I think that's how it goes. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. But literally, once again, it's like following a star. Like, you definitely seem like a navigator type to me. And maybe you felt some regret in this life, too, because with the king here having control and reversal of fortune, it's like you were the one that was in control of where you were going. And maybe you felt personally responsible for the death of everyone else that was with you on this journey or this voyage. And you always regretted it. You were like, oh man, like, I was at fault. What did I do? Like, if you had trusted it less, maybe it was even a storm, too. Like, you trusted a storm that you shouldn't have. And the ship went down, or it got wrecked at least. Something along those lines, pile number 2. And 2, I'm also drawn to, I haven't even drawn your tarot cards yet, I'm sorry, but there's just so much information coming out from just your oracle cards. But there is a lot about, like, circles and wheels. I mean, not only well, you have a compass right here in cartographer, but you also have, like a star chart map here on the astronomer, but then you also have, not only a reversal of fortune here with the king, which in tarot, the wheel of fortune is literally, like, if it's reversed, it'd be funny if you actually get that. We'll see if it does come out with your tarot cards. It's literally like the wheel of fortune, but then you also have a wheel here with wishful expectations. So it's like things were going well, and then there was reversal of fortune, and then, oh crap, and everything's going, well, to crapple, just to put it lightly, right? And then, yeah. So if you have a fear or a phobia along those lines, pile number 2, I would not be surprised because, yeah, something went down. So we'll talk more about with your tarot cards, like, what is it from this life that is relevant to now? And then 2, like I said, I'll try to maybe glean a geographical location. So Spirit Team, could you give us around 5 cards that explains more about why this past life is being called up now for pile 2? Thank you. What's the relevancy? Like I said, watch you get the Wheel of Fortune reversed. Okay, a lot of cards wanted to come out, but not quite. It's like you almost made it to safety, but not quite. 2, 3, 4, and 5. Okay. Let's unveil your tarot cards, pile 2s. We have the 10 of Wands, burdens. Yep. All on your shoulders. Pile 2s, I don't know if maybe right now you're going through a lot of stress of feeling like there's a lot on your shoulders. Kind of like it was in this past life of, oh God, everyone's life is in my hands and I failed. Remember we were talking about like with the navigational aspect? And right now maybe it kind of feels like the same thing in this life. We have death reversed, okay? Avoiding death. Resisting change. Then we have the 5 of Cups reversed. Overcoming grief. Overcoming a time of sorrow. Pile number 2 I think you are processing a lot from this past life in this current life that you're living at the time that you're watching this. Page of Coins reversed. Okay. Interesting. Learning or lack of learning. In the material world, okay? And then we have the 10 of Cups reversed, okay? Yep. Pile number 2s. I feel like right now, and this is why this life is being brought up, right now in this current incarnation, as you're watching this, it seems like you're going through a time of a lot of burden, like I was saying, in which you are trying to, and this could manifest in multiple areas of your life, family, career, etc., romantic relationship, anything, right? But overall, the goal and why this is a burden on you is because you're trying to overcome a sorrow of some sort, with the Five of Cups reversed being the central card of your reading, okay? You're trying to avoid sadness. You're trying to avoid having to make a sad change, especially with death reversed next to it. You're like, I want to put a stop to this. I don't want this thing to go downhill. I don't want people to be sad or upset. And I feel like with the Page of Pentacles reversed and the Ten of Cups reversed at the end here, like there was some sort of inexperience on your part, like not blameful inexperience, pile number 2s, but like you just weren't ready, or you weren't prepared for trying to stop this burden and stop this sorrow, and it led to a lack of emotional fulfillment or happiness here with the Ten of Cups reversed as the final card, because sometimes that can indicate specifically in a relationship, pile number 2s, because the Ten of Cups, I mean, literally it's like a married couple here, right? But it can be in like any relationship, or whatever it was that you deemed your happily ever after in this situation, what would have been the best outcome, right? At least on an emotional aspect. And I think because both in that past life, there was a sadness that you feel like you could have avoided, or that it was your fault. Right now, you're going through a similar thing. And this past life message is trying to reach you to give you advice from what happened back then to help you get through the hardship of now that is similar to what occurred with the shipwreck navigational ocean kind of life that we were talking about. In terms of countries, I did say I would try to glean like a geographical location. Of course, though, I am also going to draw some more tarot cards with some other pertinent questions, but I want to say it was a cold geographical location. Because not only in Solitude do you have, like, imagery of ice, okay? You also have, I believe, like, the Death card here is from, like, a Norwegian fairy tale, and then the Page of Coins is from a, Sami, right? Which is, like, northern Scandinavia. Of course, you do have cards from other cultures. I believe this is La Llorona from, like, Hispanic mythology. And then this one is India, I believe. So it could be, for some of you, this is like, like from a Hispanic lifetime, which could mean either, of course, like, Central South America, or it could be like Spain and Europe, right? It could also be a lifetime from India, but I think for most of you, this was like a Scandinavian, Northern European lifetime that you went through, okay? Especially because of not only like the cold temperature here with Solitude, but you have 2 Scandinavian fairy tales that were referenced in your tarot cards. The Vikings themselves are known as very good explorers, okay, navigators, right? They knew how to cross the Atlantic, and they made it to Iceland and Greenland, and now we've even discovered they actually made it to Canada too, okay? So it's very possible that this was like, though they were kind of gone by the age of discovery, okay, at least in terms of, like, the Renaissance. I mean, they weren't, like, the Vikings anymore, of course. That was more earlier back, like, I think, like, 800 to, like, 1000 AD. I know it kind of blurs all together. Someone who's a little bit more familiar with that era of history, please feel free to correct me in the comments below. But, I want to say either, if it was like a Spain-related lifetime, it could have been like the Renaissance, okay, like the Age of Discovery, literally, because that's when a lot of countries were, from Europe at least, were trying to explore what we call the New World, or like North and South America. But then for some of you, I think it could have also been during like the Viking Age of Scandinavia, okay, exploring things. And that life, like I said, something went wrong and you felt so responsible for it. kind of like what's going on right now in your current life, okay? Also, too, I don't know if you're drawn to astronomy in your current lifetime right now, pile number 2s. Or maybe you were as a child. Yeah. Kind of always being drawn to stars. Things like that. Maybe you're even into science right now, pile number 2s, or you're into kind of geographical location type things. Maybe you really like traveling, okay? But yeah, I do want to ask some extra questions. Sorry, we went kind of on a side tangent there of like where it was geographically, but yeah. So I think the first good question to ask is, what specifically happened in this life, past life? What event is being referenced to now? Okay. I think it's probably going to be related, like I was saying, to the disaster that happened that you felt responsible for, but let's glean some more information with maybe 3 cards. Thank you, spirits. Yeah, very sad life. I mean, you were ambitious, pile number 2s. It's not easy, especially in that era, or both eras we were talking about, to have navigated across the Atlantic, right? But yeah, let's see. We have the Magician, okay, manifesting things. What happened in this life that's relevant to now? We have, okay, 7 of Wands. Yep, 10 of Pentacles. Okay, so pile number 2s. Okay, what they're saying is this past life, they're mentioning and bringing it up because of the event of you trying to manifest something and feeling like everything was against you, and it having impressed a legacy, because that's what the 10 of Pentacles means, down on every life afterwards that you still haven't worked through. Okay. It could be too that you, because of the accident that happened in that lifetime, you work very hard on making sure like things, like absolutely nothing goes wrong. Maybe you're a bit of a perfectionist, pile number 2s as well. It's kind of what I see with the 7 of Wands being next to the Magician. And they're talking about how that passed down because of the accident in that life. Okay. And I have a feeling, now we will pull cards on that as well, but I have a feeling based on the cards so far, pile number 2 is what they're going to tell you is to not feel responsible for everything that occurred down here. Okay, remember we're talking about the sorrow that you were trying to avoid, the burden you were trying to relieve. All right. Yep, especially because like it almost feels that the guilt that you feel right now isn't like wholly your own, pile number 2s. I mean, it is, but it's not wholly your own from this particular incarnation you're in right now. I think a lot of it is just like it's like an old reopening wound from that past life that's being harkened back to now, and that's why it feels especially painful, because it's not just the wound of this life, pile number 2s, it's also the wound of this past life being reopened at the same time and made raw again. Yeah. But yeah, determination. Manifesting. And it's, I think part of the issue and the struggle is here too, pile number 2, is that you work so hard to avoid disaster or mistakes. You put your all into avoiding it, especially with this situation, that when mistakes do inevitably occur, it really gets to you and it breaks your confidence. Yeah. And that's kind of what they're talking about, you know. It harkens back to that past life. And then we'll pull the final 3 advice cards from this past life if they had to give you parting advice from the reading today on how to go forward with this, you know, unfortunate situation, right? So Spirit Team, for pile 2s, could you give me 3 cards that explains more about the final pieces of advice, the final message of advice from this past life to what pile number 2 should do now with this situation? Thank you. Yeah, I keep hearing it was just bad luck, pile number 2. It's the Hierophant reversed. Let go of the tradition of feeling responsible for everything, okay? Knight of Wands reversed, okay? And then we have the Six of Pentacles. Interesting. Six of Pentacles is about fairness. Knight of Wands reversed is about making sure we don't act impulsively on passion. So, pile number 2, okay, big flashing neon sign. Let go of the tradition of blaming yourself so harshly, okay? That Six of Pentacles, especially right here, is about fairness and charity. You need to be more fair to yourself. I know when we feel like something has gone to absolute disaster and we feel like, okay, maybe we were technically the person that was in charge of something, that, oh no, it's my fault, oh my god, I'm awful, I'm horrible, I shouldn't be trusted with anything. You get like those types of doubts that crop up in your mind and you beat yourself up a lot, pile number 2s. But what they're telling you is like in that past life where that disaster occurred, you need to be easier on yourself and not beat yourself up so harsh over it. Because like I said, Six of Pentacles is all about fairness and charity, right? The Hierophant reverse is all about let go of tradition. Let go of that tradition of feeling like you have to beat yourself up so hard over honest mistakes, okay? And then that Knight of Wands reversed is interesting. I'm going to look into that for just 1 second. Apologies for a moment of silence. They're saying to me that when you address this situation again, perhaps you're considering taking action on like how to even further try to fix the mistake. There is a slight warning not to be impulsive on taking action to fix things too quickly, just to assuage or balm your worries about being at fault. Okay, you need to take time to forgive yourself. You need to take time to be fair to yourself and take care of yourself, self-care as well. And there's no need to rush to fix the mistake, okay? They're saying think it through before you rush forward, okay? Because it's things like that where you rush to really quick make a decision where more mistakes can come through, okay? So just before you take a step forward from the situation, pile number 2s, take a deep breath and really think through your next action out of patience and of forgiveness or understanding of self rather than I need to fix this or else I'm going to feel guilty or it's all my fault, okay? Or those types of feelings, right? Be fairer to yourself. All right. I believe that is everything from this reading, pile number 2s. Let me just do one final check over. I want to make sure. Yes. So be fair to yourself is the final message. So that is what I will leave you with, my wonderful pile number 2s. As always, if you liked the reading, if it resonated, please like, comment, or subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so already, that just helps me out a bit, which helps me provide more readings for both you and others in the future. And as is our custom on the channel, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, pile number 2s. Remember, don't be so hard on yourself, okay? If you walk away from this reading with any message, it's that. And, of course, as is also our tradition, I hope to see you in the next reading, pile number 2s. Bye. Hello there, my lovely pile number 3s. Welcome to your Pick a Card reading today on the topic of a past life message from then relevant to now. As you recall, the pile leader you chose was number 46, Overthinking. Okay. So, of course, we'll expand more on the message of that card in tandem with the other cards after we draw them. But first, as is our tradition, we'll set the pile leader over here next to the pine cone on the left. And then now we will draw your oracle cards on screen to glean more about what this past life is all about. Okay. Do that one back there. It seems the most drawing of our eye. Okay, and then from the Citadel Oracle. there it is. Okay. So we'll keep shuffling, see if anything else pops out. Oh my god. Okay, I am going to take this one because it did kind of flop out with the other ones. So we have 2 Citadel Oracles. There we go. And then we also have from the Archetypes deck. Apologies if my shuffling is a bit messy on this deck. This one's kind of hard to shuffle. There we go. There we go. Let's see. What do you think pile number 3 is? How about this one back here? It's drawing our eye. There we go. Okay, and of course we will draw your tarot cards later, but first I want to focus on the oracle cards that did pop up, so let's do that now with the first Archetypes card you received. Ooh, Liberator. Light attributes, freeing yourself and others from outmoded beliefs, releasing negative thought patterns, and shadow attributes, imposing your own tyranny over those you claim to liberate, ignoring legitimate constraints. Interesting card. That one up there. Then the first Citadel Oracle that popped out was technically this one, so we'll look at that. We have the Wise One with the element of fire, tradition, and order. Kind of gives me Hierophant vibes. See if maybe Hierophant comes up with your tarot cards, but the Wise One. And then we have, I'm sorry, is that lavender in that card? Kind of looks like lavender. And then the second Citadel Oracle that popped out was, ooh, the Archer with the element of air, biding your time and planning ahead. Okay. I wonder if you are considering whether or not you should take action right now or not, pile number 3. So that kind of is the vibe I'm getting. In this past life had a similar struggle of acting at the right time. Or biding your time. We'll see what else pops out. Then from the Lantern Oracle you received number 29, Radical Self-Acceptance. You are perceived the way you perceive yourself. Okay. Very interesting pile, number 3 is. I am getting a feeling of Greece, like ancient Greece, off of this particular reading in terms of where this past life came from, or occurred in, I should say, technically, because not only do I think of like the Olympic torchbearer here with Liberator, with literally having, I mean, she has like the torch in her hand. There's just something about the particular depiction of the Archer too that gives me like a Greek vibe for some reason. Could be the wings off of the bow, but I almost want to say you were possibly a hunter. Okay, maybe selling like meat at the market. And or there was some sort of job you did where you extracted natural resources and then you sold it to other people. So that you could also have been like a herbalist, like you went out and you collected herbs and you sold them at market. Things like that. Apologies if you hear a cat sneezing in the background, but my little black kitty is in here. She's not supposed to be in here, but sometimes she hides in my room during readings and then she pops out during readings. So I don't, yeah. Hopefully she doesn't interrupt, but if you see a black cat, that's why. But yeah, definitely like ancient Greece is what I'm feeling pile number 3 is. I want to say in a town that was associated with Apollo or closely followed Apollo, which of course was, I mean, I think of like the Oracle of Delphi, right? Could have been near Delphi, things like that. Interesting life. And the lesson of this life, pile number 3 is, let's see here. I'm sorry I'm so silent on your reading. For some reason, it's a very more intuitively quiet reading. The other ones were very, like, the messages were just, like, screaming out really fast, but this one is a little bit more quiet. I want to say, too, the area that you lived in was, like, war-torn. Like, I think you were just trying to live your life, pile number 3. So you were like, I want to just do my herbal collecting, or I just want to do my hunting and then sell at the market. I just want, like, a plain, simple country life. I don't want anyone to bother me. I just want to have peace, right? Things like that. But unfortunately, in this particular life, there was, like, a war that occurred in the area that you were living in, and it completely interrupted. I almost want to say maybe even you changed governments at some point, like maybe there was like a border dispute, things like that. Oh, and here comes the black cat. No, sweetheart, sorry, apologies. That little stinker. Okay. Yeah, and so with this war-torn area, it like completely severed your peace, and nothing was really the same after that. Very interesting. I'm going to actually draw your tarot cards right now, pile number 3. So I'm going to look at those a little bit closer here. So, Spirit, for pile number 3s, could you give us around 5 cards that explains more about what's going on in their life right now that's relevant to this particular life in this past life? Thank you. Okay, there we go. Oh my god, that card went flying. It was the 4 of Swords, Rest. And like I was saying, it's like you're learning to bide your time right now. Okay, so the first one here was the 7 of Wands. Okay. Determination, and the 4 of Swords is about rest with Fenrir there. And then we have, let's see, 3, 4, 5. So there's the third one. The Chariot reversed. Okay. Yeah, I really feel like what's going on in your life right now, pile 3s, is there's something you really want to go after, but you're like, I'm not really sure if right now is the time to strike the iron. And then we have the Queen of Swords, yep, thinking tactfully, thinking logically, thinking like a hunter, like we were talking about with the archer. And then we have the Knight of Swords reversed. Yeah, you're like, I'm not sure if I should take action yet. And you know, pile number 3s, what's intuitively popping out with this is, I think a part of you in that Greek life we were talking about regretted not... I think you got a forewarning beforehand to leave that area and you didn't heed it. And you always regretted it afterwards because there was so much loss surrounding that war-torn, that battle-stricken area and era of your life. And so you always regretted not taking the advice. And so it seemed like at that time it was wise to bide your time and not leave. But then you realized afterwards, oh crap, like I should have just gotten out of there when I could have. And so right now in your life, as you're watching this, I feel like you're in a similar situation of, you know, should I stay? Should I go? Should I bide my time? Should I go forward on this goal that I have? Like we were talking about when the reading first started. And so, yeah, I especially see that with the Chariot reversed being the central card. It's about like, I'm not sure if I should let my horses out and start pulling the carriage forward. Okay. And so this past life is reaching out to you because they're even relevant to your pile leader. It's warning you about overthinking things too much or not thinking through things enough. Yeah. Very interesting here, pile number 3s. Overthinking. Sorry, once again, I'm so silent. There's just messages coming through. Because I feel like there's an opportunity that you've been seeing, and you think to yourself, well, maybe right now is the best time to go forward. But a part of you, too, is like, well, wait, let's rest. Okay, let's think through this very tactician-wise, very logically with that Queen of Swords here. But I think right now you're leaning towards not taking action because of the Knight of Swords reversed, pile number 3s. So actually, I'm going to draw some more cards here. I want to ask what specific event in that past life is relevant to now. Okay, so we're going to draw 3 cards on that. Once again, I apologize if you hear cat noises in the background. I always try to make sure my cats are out of my room before I do readings, but sometimes, like I said, that particular cat, her name is Mystic, she's very sneaky, so Ignore the scratching noises in the background. Okay, we have number 1, the event. Okay, the Wheel of Fortune is a good time of good luck. We have the Queen of Pentacles. Okay, security internally. And then we have the Two of Cups reversed. Okay. So we were talking about, the question was, what event occurred in this past life that is relevant to now specifically? I know we talked about this was like a war-torn area, and it was like you didn't get out at the right time. Okay. But I think what it's specifically honing in on is, let's see, with the turn of good luck here in the Queen of Pentacles, they're saying that in that past life, that decision was more about survival. And this decision for you right now, though, is more about like financial success because of the Queen of Pentacles being here as the energy next to the Wheel of Fortune upright, being, you know, like luck in finance. But I think there's some aspect where there's a disagreement in a relationship with the Two of Cups reversed here that was present in this past life. So this was like the event we were talking about, but that's also present now. I don't know, pile number 3 is if maybe part of the reason you're not moving forward where there's hesitation is because this decision to go forward, if you were to strike while the iron was hot with this opportunity, there's a part of it that's a sacrifice in a relationship. It could be that maybe it's like a job offer that brings you away from a partner that you're with or a friend that you're close to or from your family even. And maybe that's causing some of the reluctance. Maybe that's even part of the reason why in that past life, hence why, like I said, this is like a relevant event in this past life reading to now, is that you stayed because you're like, well, this is where my family is. I don't want to leave here, even though maybe we should get out when the going is good, right? And so at the time in that life, you chose what you thought was the secure, good fortune option, but I wonder if you lost your partner or your loved ones in that life because you stayed, and that's why you always regretted it. Maybe that's why the Two of Cups reversed came out, pile number 3. Yeah. And so right now it's cropping up in this life because it's like there's a sacrifice if you do, or at least you fear there will be at least a sacrifice if you do go forward with this choice. So that's why you're being so careful and trying to think so tactfully about it. You're like, well, this opportunity is great, but I don't know. Should I go forward or should I wait and rest and bide my time? So of course, as the final part of the reading, pile number 3, so I will draw an extra 3 cards of like parting advice from this lifetime into helping you make a decision in your current incarnation. But I just want to make sure before we go there that I didn't miss any messages from all the other cards here. Let's see. The Wise One. Tradition and order. And then, of course, we have radical self-acceptance over here. See if there's any other intuitive messages. I'm going to actually ask your spirit team for a message right now. Pile number 3 is apologies for silence. They're saying that right now is a very confusing time for you, as it was in that particular lifetime with the war-torn kind of Greek life we were talking about. You're very confused, and even as I'm doing this reading, I feel bad because I'm doing so many like starts and stops, but like there's something about this lifetime that's or the energy that's coming through, I should say, where there's just a lot of like confusion and it feels like everything is going in like a million different directions, pile number 3. So I apologize if your reading kind of comes off as like jilted or disjointed, but that's really the energy that's coming through here with this reading. It's like you're so confused and there's so many options or so many choices you could go down and you're like, I don't know. Do I take that risk? Do I go forward? And they're saying that, you know, of course, like I said, we'll get to like 3 final cards of advice here with your reading, but like the best choice to take is the one that you first think of. Like pile number 3 is if you were to close your eyes right now and you were to think intuitively, what does my gut tell me is the best choice to take? even if it's a choice that feels uncomfortable. Because I think pile number 3 is, with radical self-acceptance, I feel like there's a part of you that already kind of knows what option or choice you want to go forward with, but there's an element of shame in it. I wonder if maybe it's, like, say for example, and this might relate to you, it might not, but say for example, it's a choice between taking a job far away, but then you're going to have to break up with somebody, like with the Two of Cups reversed here. And you're like, your gut intuition says, oh man, this is my dream career, my dream promotion. I want to go with that option of going with this job that's far away. But a part of you is ashamed at how easily you came to that conclusion, because it's like, it's not that you don't care about that relationship, pile number 3 is, but at the same time, it's like, oh, that opportunity, I want to go for it so bad because it really is a good luck thing, okay? It would be very smart of me to go, but I also don't want to sacrifice that. But like I said, there's like that element of shame there with radical self-acceptance. Like, oh, I'm so ashamed that I want this, but I do. And what they're saying, especially here with Liberator here, pile number 3, is I think, because like it says, freeing yourself and others from outmoded beliefs and releasing negative thought patterns. They're saying that there really shouldn't be any shame in the debate you're having, or that the fact that there might be one option that you kind of almost instantly come to, even though you feel bad being that certain about what you want, because you know that that option would sacrifice something else that you care about. Because they're telling you that that option that is your gut instinct, the one that you kind of already maybe know that you want to go forward with, I mean, it feels like it's your dream, pile number 3s. Really. And they're saying, well, why would you be ashamed of pursuing a dream? And I'm almost betting, if this is like a relationship with someone else involved, pile number 3s, as hard as the parting might be, if they love you, like I say, if it is like a romantic relationship, they would want you to choose your happiness in going and following your dream. Okay? And so the liberator aspect of this reading is almost liberating yourself from the thought patterns of feeling guilty for what you want, okay? Feeling guilty for what it is that you desire, and just going for it anyways, okay? But yes, let's draw the 3 final cards here, pile number 3s, of like the parting advice from this life to you now on making this decision. And I always kind of preface my readings with this statement when it comes to advice. You can always reject or accept advice from a tarot reading, pile number 3s, and tarot readings are never the future set in stone. It's just the most likely future from the time that you're watching this video on the path you're currently on. This can always change. And you always have free will, okay? You always have a choice, but I just like to preface before I say advice-related things with that message, because that's the point of living the life that we do here on Earth, is having the free will to choose and take different paths, right? Okay, so the 3 final pieces of advice, definitely that one. The Ace of Swords reversed, okay. The 7 of Swords, interesting. And then we have the 10 of Pentacles reversed. So pile number 3s, if there's parting advice to you from this past life on the situation you're going through right now, They're warning you against deceiving yourself, okay? Because you have the 7 of Swords as the central card here. The 7 of Swords is, in this particular depiction, is the coyote from a lot of, like, Native American mythologies, right? And beliefs. The coyote was a trickster figure, okay? And the 7 of Swords typically represents, like, trickery or deception. There's some part of yourself that wants to deny this opportunity. Like, oh, well, maybe I really don't want it. Maybe it's not for me. But you're deceiving yourself, pile number 3s. That the writing on the wall is for you to go forward with what your gut says, okay? Because in that past life, it seems that you maybe ignored your gut and you always regretted it, okay? And so they're warning you against deceiving yourself again now when it comes to It's very interesting, too, because in this particular depiction of the Seven of Swords, there's a fire in the background, literally with like a smoke trail in the sky. It's like you see that fire on the horizon, and you're like, I know that this is coming, or like this would be the great choice for me to make, or at least deep down that's what I want. But with that Ace of Swords reversed, it's like you're obscuring the idea, like you're burying the idea down, and they're saying, don't deceive yourself, pile number 3 is okay. Also, too, you have the Ten of Pentacles reversed, and earlier with the Wise One, you have tradition and order. Now, the Ten of Pentacles is often a card of, like, legacy and inheritance and things passed down. I almost wonder if maybe for some of you this is family-related because of those terms cropping up more than once, especially with the Ten of Pentacles reversed. And they're saying to me, your family is not where your family is, it's where you make it. And I would interpret that to mean that if part of your reluctance to make this choice is that it would move you away from family, pile number 3s, especially in our modern world, there are ways that you can connect with your family that don't require physical proximity, okay? You can always connect with your family online, okay? Using the internet, using Zoom, using whatever meeting conferencing you want to use. You can always come back and visit. They're also, with the Ten of Pentacles reversed, it's a piece of advice to let go of the tradition of things, okay? To not worry so much about the legacy of what always has been done the way it has. And so maybe even if there's family pressure to stay, pile number 3s, once again, they're reminding you not to worry so much about the family pressure of, family saying do this or do that, and go with what your gut tells you is the right thing or that is your dream to do, okay? I mean, literally, like with your pile leader, you're overthinking it, pile number 3s. You're overthinking it. Your gut already knows what's the right choice. You just have to believe in your intuition to follow that which you know is right and not feel ashamed for wanting it, okay? So if you take anything away from this reading, pile number 3s, it's that you're being encouraged towards striking when the iron is hot. You're being encouraged to let go of tradition. You're being encouraged to really listen to what it is you want deep down and accepting that without guilt or shame or self-judgment, okay? And aiming your bow towards that dream and letting that arrow fly and going forward, okay? Liberating yourself from the negative guilt and liberating yourself from living where you are right now that doesn't make you as happy with where you could be. Or as where you could be, I should say. Okay. So that is what I will leave you with today, my wonderful pile number 3s. Once again, apologies for the cat noises in the background earlier. So yeah, if you liked the reading, if it resonated, please like, comment, and or subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. That just helps me out, which helps me provide more readings for both you and others in the future. And as is our custom on the channel, our tradition, thank you so much for tuning in. I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you in the next reading, pile number 3s. Bye.